Let us understand how to multiply decimal numbers. Well, first step is multiply the numbers as if there was no decimal numbers, right? And then we'll see how to place the decimal number. So first step is write down the numbers without decimal. So we have 173. We have not written this point here. Times 3. So that is the first step, correct? Now we will multiply it. So when you multiply as a normal multiplication, just do like that. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 7, 21, 1. And then you get 2 here. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2, 5. So you get 519. So that's the first step. The second step is you have to place decimal, right? Now count the number of decimal places. Here, one number is after decimal, just one, right? So in the answer also, we should have one number after decimal. So here we'll put one decimal. So the answer is 51.9. So that is the way you should do it, right? So put the decimals later. First do without decimal, right? So when you put this, you think, well, this was 17.3, one number after decimal. So the answer should also have one number after decimal. That is a cool way of doing it, right? The other is to estimate your answer. What we should do is 17.3 round it. So it is approximately 17, right? Times 3. Think like this. Or you say, well, approximately 20 times 3, right? Which is 60. So your answer should be less than 60. Remember that, because we rounded 17 to 20. And when you multiply by 3, this number should be higher, right? So the answer should be lower than 60. It works, right? So, well, 51.9 is less than 60. So our estimate is also correct. So that helps. So there are two things which you have to keep in mind when you multiply decimal numbers. First, multiply as if there was no decimal place. Then, count the numbers after decimal and in the answer, put those many numbers after decimal. Second, always estimate. And then check your answer. That should work, right? Let's do one more. So this time what we are going to do is, we'll kind of estimate, right? 15.2 times 3.4. So let's do something like this. We'll round this to 15, right? Drop 0.2 times, we'll make it 3.4. I know it should be rounded to 3, but let me round it to 4, right? Much higher. So 15 times 2 is 30, times 4 will be 60. So the answer should be definitely less than 60. That is what we know, right? Now with that in mind, let us start multiplying these two numbers. So the numbers are 15.2, okay, let me write now, times 3.4. I have written decimal this time, but we will not consider it when we multiply, okay? So multiply by 4 first. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 5, 20. 2. 4 times 1, 4 plus 2 is 6, right? I know, putting decimal means creating a confusion. I should not have placed this decimal. So multiply as if there was no decimal number, okay? That is what is kind of important. Now let's multiply by 30. This is actually 3 now. One more place. So we'll put 0 here. 3 times 2, 6. 3 times 5, 15, 5, 1. And 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Now let's add them up, right? This is how you do normal multiplication when there are no decimal numbers, right? That is how we'll go. So 8, 6, 6 plus 5, 11, 5, 1, 6, 8. Now the question of decimal comes. How many numbers are there after decimal? 1 and 1, 2. So put decimal 1 and 1, 2. So 51.68 is our answer. Do you see that? Actually, this is the time when you should put these decimals also. It helps you to count. Now 51.68 is much lower than 60. That is the right estimate. Is that okay? That's how you should do it. Now let's do the next one. 2.5 times 7.8. So what I will do here is, I'll do very approximate. I'll do 3 times 8, right? We basically need the order, right? Whether we are getting answer as in tens or hundreds or thousands. This is what we need. So even 3 times 8, I know it's much higher, is kind of 24. So our result has to be much lower than 24. So at least we have an idea, right? Now let's multiply them without using decimals. So we'll write 25 and 78 and let's multiply them, right? You saw last time I placed the decimal, it created a confusion, right? The flow stops. When you come at the decimal points, like a stop sign. So now, let's not put it now. So we'll put it later. It's 25 times 78, which we are doing now. That you know how to do. 8 times 5 is 40, so you get 0, 4. 8 times 2, 16, plus 4 is 20. 7 times 5 is 35, so you have to put 0 here. It is basically 70, right? Tens place. 7 times 5, 35, 5, and this time this is 3. 7 times 2, 14, plus 3 is 17. And when you add, you get 0, 5, 9, 1. Now is the time to put a decimal. One number here is after decimal, then we have one more number after decimal. Two numbers are after decimal, so two numbers after decimal. 19.50 is the right answer. As well below 24. It works. Do you see that? So that's the whole idea. So the steps involved are multiply as if there was no decimal number, and then count the numbers after decimal, place the decimal in same number of numbers, get your answer. Estimate your answer before you start with so that you have an idea of what result you're expecting, especially the order of result, right? So the idea here is to estimate the order, whether it is in tens or in hundreds or in thousands. That's it, right? I'd like you to pause the video, solve the next 3 questions, and then move on to see how to divide decimal numbers. Thank you and all the best.